Hello, everyone, and welcome to BAYI Foundation's workshop for small businesses. We started the week with a webinar on Monday, where we spoke at length about the various funding and financing options available to small businesses. We continue today with more in-depth discussions on how to pitch to investors, what investors look out for, what they listen to, and then we also continue as to how to brand yourself as a business owner and also as a small business. BAYI Foundation is a non-for-profit organization based in Middleton, New York. BAYI Foundation stimulates resilient growth in small businesses and propels these businesses to develop, integrate, and implement sustainable, inclusive business objectives through our training and mentorship programs. Our programs are designed to open opportunities for business owners and the youth to be change makers and create a positive impact in the communities in which they find themselves. We do this through our three core pillars, which is financial education and inclusion, youth empowerment, and equality. BAYI's program is a catalytic force that drives small businesses to develop sustainable strategies and skills to scale through its unique blend of training development, mentorship, and financing program. This holistic approach allows the small businesses to de-risk and focus on growth. Our initiative and key program that we have is the Hub program. This Hub program assists small businesses, especially the underrepresented or minority-owned businesses in the community, to strategically scale their businesses by providing an extensive suite of specialized tools and training needed for them to attain their full potential. This program consists of a series of training, after which the business owners go through a coaching and fellowship program, then go through a mentorship program, and BAYI Foundation assists these businesses to scale and grow through our funding program. By the end of the program, participants or small business owners are able to properly prepare and assess their business health, develop and improve their business goals, as well as develop objectives that will ensure that their businesses remain sustainable in the future. Our programs are designed in such a way that we plan to assist not only the businesses, but also the youth and also graduates in underrepresented communities and businesses, providing a holistic approach to all of this. Other programs that we have include the BAYI Workforce Development Program, which is designed for the youth and it equips the youth with business and leadership skills while educating them on the importance of sustainable goals in line with getting green jobs. We do this by placing graduates with small businesses and helping them attain the necessary skills, preparing them for the workforce markets. This hands-on experience allows the graduates and the youth to garner the skills that they need to better serve their community. BAYI Foundation also has other specialized programs that we run, which includes our SME Business Clinic, our youth development programs, our trade credit programs, any program that we feel that will be beneficial to the small business environment. Now, as part of our drive to grow and empower small businesses, we bring to you today's first session, which is going to be on how to pitch your business, how to strategically position yourself, how to talk to investors, and how to pitch your businesses to all these investors. We are going to talk to two seasoned industry experts. I have Kevin Simmons and David Dankwa that will be joining me today to talk about how to pitch your business. I'm sure
Hi,
you
good
remember
morning,
Kevin
Talma.
from Monday. Hi, Kevin. How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. How's everyone?
I'm fine as well. Okay, so let's just kickstart this. We spoke at length on Monday about how to finance a small business, how a small business can access funding options, which financiers to look out for, the pros and cons of each, how to pay attention to their customers, what their customers want, how to grow their revenues. All of that discussion went on Monday. Today, we are just going to continue to know how to better get attention from these financiers. As an industry expert or someone that has been in the field, started businesses, advised small business owners and all these tech startups, what would you say in a nutshell is an elevator pitch, or what do you think that a business owner should have to give that elevator pitch?
So I'd say the most, hi, good morning all. The most effective elevator pitches, or what an elevator pitch really should consist of, is just, a strong picture of what you're trying to do, not the details, just a high level. We are trying to change, people's lives. We're trying to do this, we're trying to do that, and a little bit of how you're going to do it and why it matters to the person listening, right? Like an elevator pitch by design is meant to be something you can deliver in 30 seconds if you happen to be in an elevator with someone important, or so on. And then they obviously have built out from that, and you have longer pitches. But the biggest mistake, or the biggest challenge for most business owners is, you know, wanting to put so much in that it becomes too much to digest. And so an elevator pitch is just the who, what, why, and where is really what an elevator pitch is. It's very concise, it's impactful, and it's designed really from the point of view of the listener, not from the point of view of the person speaking. And that's probably one of the more important things I can mention, because when you're a founder, and I was there, you really feel like the more you put out, the more you put into this elevator pitch, all the details, that's going to convince people. But seriously, clarity is really important. And you just want enough that we can understand. And if you put too much detail, it's just too much to digest. So you want to put the most important things, not everything. That's it.
Okay, do you want to add something to that, David? What do you think an elevator pitch is?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, it's really giving somebody the highlights, the 50,000 feet view of the business, the value proposition. It's not supposed to be something that is overbearing with details. It should just be enough to um, appetize the interest of a potential investor. If there's interest, the request for more information. So it really is just showing them what's on the menu. And then once they see what's on the menu, they'll decide whether I want to have the entree, the dessert, and all of that. So that's how I look at the elevator pitch.
Okay, so just for what you've spoken, you've just mentioned, it just takes me to this question: is there a structured way for you to present this pitch? Just like the menu where you can start with the entree, the main meal, and then maybe the dessert. Is there sort of like a structure to this?
Yeah. I mean, I would say so. I mean, I think in terms of the appetizer, right? That's kind of high level. There's the value proposition. There's a problem that we're trying to solve. Then you're going to get into addressing how big the market is. You're going to talk about various milestones that you have achieved, hit proof of concept. Then you're going to talk about the experience of the management team. And then, you may have some projections in there, and then something on a few bullets on strategy. Typically, these type of presentations, in my experience, should be between 10 and 15 slides. It shouldn't be too, just enough information to keep a follow-on conversation going.
Okay. So there are certain well-known, should I say whether they are myths or whether they are facts out there, um, where people keep saying that your pitch should not be more than 30 seconds. Others say it shouldn't be more than 60 seconds. Some also do say that you should stick to the revenue figures and the profits because that's what investors are interested in listening to or knowing. And others also say that you have to keep rehearsing this in front of a mirror. And then the other one is that a good pitch gets you an investment. So when the investors say, "Oh yes, I love what you've said. I want to invest or I want this percentage stake," then it means you've given a good pitch. So could we just discuss some of the myths around this?
Yeah, I think you. Oh, go ahead,
Oh,
Kevin.
no, no. Well, I'll tell you what, David. I'll take on two of those and then leave another two, and we can obviously add. So the
Okay.
first one that I feel strongly about, um, because I want to speak to the majority of situations. Okay, and so the first one I'm going to take on is that a good pitch gets you the investment. I think for most people, it's highly unlikely that just on the pitch alone you will get investment. Okay, I think investors are increasingly um, smart and they do their work and they do their homework. And so one or two things happens in a case. There may be some people that have the occasion to pitch and get an investment right away, but I like to say 90% of people, that's not going to be the experience. Okay. So a good pitch will get you the interest in an investment, but I'm going to ask a lot more questions. So that's the first myth that I want to address. Um, the second one that I perhaps also think is I don't, and maybe other people do. I don't hold to rules of thumb around, a good picture is 30 seconds, a good picture is 60 seconds. Look, there are many different types of formats where you're going to have an opportunity to pitch your business. Some may be in pitch competitions or in meeting rooms where you have a set amount of time, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 3 minutes. You may be fortunate to have a 15-minute meeting or even a much longer call. And so I think instead of focusing on the length of what a good pitch is, I think it's more important to focus on what constitutes a good pitch, being able to read the situation when you're in a pitch and respond to that. So when you have more time, you're able to speak to more time. But I always say, don't try to speak for all the time you have when you're in a one-on-one type of pitch. You want to get to the conversation. If you're in a pitch competition, you're on stage, you're virtual, and they give you 3 minutes, then take the 3 minutes. Don't leave them waiting at 2:30. And well, is there, so the point is responding to the situation, not focusing on the time. But if you do happen to have a meeting, like with my team, and we get 30 minutes or 45 minutes, don't pitch for that long. Pitch for a bit of it and try to get to the engagement, the questions. It's for me the investment comes as a result of that conversation with the founder. That's where I can see how he responds. That's where I learn more and so on. So that's the other myth that I want to address. David probably can add to those and even touch on some of the others you mentioned.
Sorry, my mic was muted. No, I definitely agree with Kevin. The elevator pitch or the pitch, it comes in different shapes and sizes, and you have to be able to tailor your message to the audience. And so, like you said, if it's more of a one-on-one situation, it's probably going to be more conversational than spitting off facts from a deck. And so you have to be comfortable in terms of being able to switch gears on the fly. And so I definitely recommend just being able to adapt in all situations. Be able to tell your story, whether it's 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You in your mind, you should have the version of the story that you want to tell. So I agree. And then also too, just winning investment on pure pitching, that doesn't happen. It doesn't. From my experience and from what I've seen, investments aren't won on pitches, but what the pitch does is it gives you an entry point into the conversation. And I think the real work or where you win people over is the follow-on, the information request, the the questions, you meet with the management team, the investors see firsthand how you are running the business, operating the business, what kind of infrastructure you have. That's where investors are won over. The pitch is it's nice. It gets you a foot in the door, but once you're in the door, a lot of it is the relationship and them seeing you respond to the questions. And then I think you said that one of your observations was like practicing in the mirror. I mean, whatever makes you comfortable, but I think I would strongly recommend just being able to give your pitch to friends, other people, just being able to just communicate it with anybody, because at the end of the day, if you are an entrepreneur, you know your business more than anybody else does. And so you being able to kind of just break it down into bite-sized concepts where they can just pick it up and say, okay, I know what this guy or girl is all about. That's what I would recommend. But whatever makes you comfortable practicing.
All right, David. So I think one thing that I remember from Monday's conversation was where Kevin talked about the fact that a pitch should get you your second meeting. So I think that goes a long way to talk about, if the pitch is good, definitely you get a second meeting. It doesn't mean that you always just get the money there and then, or you're going to get some sort of like LOI or expression of interest, but just the person wanting to talk to you again goes a long way to say that, yes, at least you said something that was of interest to them. So then we've spoken about all of this. Are there some of the key things that investors or financiers want to hear? Are there like other things that business owners should touch on or should talk specifically about? They know their business, they've been running it for a while, but there's some key things that as investors or as financiers in the space you look out for or want to hear from the business owner. Okay. So looks like I'm back. I don't know what happened, but it looks like it just went off.
Yeah, Thelma, I was disconnected too. So do you mind just repeating what the question was, or just so I can keep up?
Okay, so I was asking what are some of the key things that as investors or financiers you look out for, or you want to hear from business owners when they are making a pitch to you?
I think for me, the most interesting thing is the story, especially like when it's early stage. How did they stumble into the problem that they're trying to solve? I think if you can get a very compelling story around the how and the why, I think that resonates very well uh, with investors. And so having that story down, the personal story, and then also just being able to how do you go from commercializing the problem that you're trying to solve and the steps that you've taken. For me, I find milestones very interesting, particularly if it's beyond just an idea. You've actually proven the concept, you've tested the market, you can prove that there's acceptance of this product or service in the market. I think for me, those are the kind of things that really jump out for me. And then what are you doing to stay ahead of the competition?
Absolutely. Kevin, if you don't mind repeating what you said, for some reason you were your audio wasn't coming up.
Sam, are you talking to me or Kevin?
Kevin. You know, he answered the question before we lost transmission.
Okay, can you hear me?
A while ago.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I'll just try to answer it super, super fast. In addition to everything David said, the narrative is important. The story is important. It gives you the why and it connects the dots. If there may be 2 or 3 other things that I would say you want to make sure you're clear on. Again, I'll start with the beginning. That problem and solution match, that's the narrative, but that's important. Make sure that it's clear what you're trying to do and the solution. I think it's also really useful to put yourself and your team in the pitch, meaning tell me why you guys are best suited to do it. Not just we're doing it academically, but we've been in this space for 10 years, we've built other apps, we're doing this thing. Tell me why, because that helps me really believe in it. And look, at the end of the day, there's something that sometimes there's a lot missing in many pictures, and I would say you want to put in. Tell me how you're going to make money. Okay, like who is going to buy your product and why? Um, I always say to people when they come before me, I say, look, that was a great pitch, but I don't know who your customer is. Spend a little bit of time telling me who that customer is, not just, well, I'm going to build this and people are going to come and use it, but who? I like to have a name or face. It tells me that you've done the work to figure out who your customer really is, which is one of the hardest things to do in business, is finding that customer. So, yes, we can get into other things and you can talk about risk and you can talk about how much you're going to be worth, and that's all important, but I need to walk away with knowing what you're doing and why you guys are really good, the group to do this, who is going to be your customer, and how you're going to make money. Okay, I need to understand that business model, and I don't really want the banner B2C, B2B. Yeah, that helps, but tell me, be a little bit specific as to how and why you think this group of people, these companies, why you know that they're going to pay you to do what you think they're going to pay you to do. So those are some things that I would say you want to work in there, and that's really that really makes a strong case.
All right, great. So is there any difference between face-to-face pitches and then virtual pitches? If anything, I know the COVID era has gone on and we are moving on from that, but it taught us that people didn't have to do a lot of face-to-face, but there was a lot of virtual, a lot of audio calls and all that. Is there a difference between the face-to-face? Because the traditional one is I look in your eyes, you look in my eyes, that sort of thing.
What is this historical thing you speak of? This face-to-face thing?
So you,
I'm
not
just
really
kidding. I'm just kidding.
historical, but
No. I know pre-COVID. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll let David go first because I can't even remember the last face-to-face pitch I had.
Yeah, no, I think it's an interesting question. I think they're both very effective mediums for getting your idea, your pitch across. I think that in person, I think there's more leeway. So you can probably get away with more if something isn't right, kind of. But I think online, when you're streaming, if the sound isn't good, or I think all of those things can impact how you're getting yourself across. So I think that even though being on virtual is more convenient, I think the margin for error is much smaller. I think in person, you may be able to get away with more, and them being able to physically see you does carry something. But I think they're both effective. I mean, I think all else equal, they're just as effective. But just note that if you are doing a virtual pitch, make sure that you're in a good location, your internet connection is good, the sound works well, because those things can really negatively impact you if um, there's too many distractions. In person, you don't have that. So that's why I say that the margin for error is definitely way less if you're doing it virtually. But both very good ways of getting your point across.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, at the beginning of the pandemic, I struggled initially to enjoy the virtual, but now we're all so used to virtual meetings and Zoom that honestly it's now just it's second nature. I don't think about it, and so yeah. But I agree with the whole do try to to be aware of your connection, your settings, etc. It's very disruptive, not just for the investor, but for you as well. You're unlikely to be on your best game if you're worried about network and if it's dropping in and out and so on. So yeah.
All right. Does one need different pitches for different financiers? So maybe if you are pitching to a VC or a private equity person or a banker or an angel investor, do you need different pitches for all these people?
Uh, okay, I'll go. So the answer is yes, but I want to kind of explain it so people don't go and make a bunch of different pictures, right? Because why look, you're going to have a main core of your pitch that's 80% of the stuff, what you're doing, why you're doing it, who your team is, the things that don't change regardless of who you're speaking to, whether you're speaking to an angel or a VC or private equity. There's just some things that are going to be very much in common. So first off, I want to start there. Your main core is probably not going to change that much. um, the second thing I just want to flag so people understand why I say yes is I think it's unlikely that you're going to be talking to each of those different financiers has a different role and a different time and a different expectation. So private equity is a different model that looks for different things. And so it's not if you're speaking to all four at the same time, talking to banks actively and small pocket angels and trying to talk to big institutions or VCs, I think you're probably doing something wrong and you're not quite aware of where you are and where you're most valuable and where you are in the stages. So I wouldn't go to make four separate pitches and title them different things and try to make them different things. Because remember, like angels tend to be a lot earlier where you don't have as much clarity on exactly how you're going to make money or what money you're going to make. And so there's less dependence on 5-year forecasts, etc. Whereas if you're with a bank or if they're a private equity, they're doing much deeper analysis of your financials. And so it really reflects on it's really about where you happen to be. And your pitch is going to grow with you as you grow. The pitch you do first at the very concept stage evolves and grows as you every month that goes by with your business. You're de-risking the business, you're learning more, you're having more traction, you're figuring out a few things that didn't work. So your pitch is going to grow and evolve as well. So I just want to say those two things, like the pitch should grow as the company grows. Um, and while the core of the pitch will be the same, and yeah, you may talk to private equity and VC at the same time because you're not sure where you're going and you're trying to figure out who value you more. But by that time, you're probably not talking to angels, and so on. So it's just different strokes for different folks. It does mean slightly different pitches in small bits, but not all at the same time. And don't go make four pitch decks and different things initially, I would say, for most early startup guys.
All right. So does that mean that you meaning that you have to have a clear cut picture of what you want and then clear cut picture of who to approach? Then if that's the case, then let's say for instance you are pitching to angel investors, how many of them can you pitch to avoid being like a beauty contest deal? Having your deal out there like with every single like angel investor. Because at that point in time the key focus is trying to get funding, and sometimes a little bit of desperation might come in. So how many of those people should you pitch to?
I think, look, I'll just say, look, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule as to how many you pitch to, because in some ways you kind of have to go and go until you either can't go anymore or until you're successful, right? And so it varies. Um, I've also heard and been in many forums and stuff where when you hear how many times even fairly large successful companies had to pitch in the beginning, you're shocked. Oh, they took 600 meetings, 1,000 meetings, and then some of that may be true, some may be inflated. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't worry so much about. I mean, I worry about fatigue for the founder, and that is hard and it's frustrating. I wouldn't worry so much that you're out there too much from a, you know, I mean, if you run out of everyone you can talk to, then maybe you have to go back and look at what you're fundamentally offering, right? If you've exhausted every single angel, then maybe it's not them, maybe it's you. Okay, and that may be hard to swallow, but that's good information to go back and say, hey, look, maybe I need to rework something. But part of the process is that it is a marathon, it is a sprint, and you're going to have to do it over and over and over, um, to get good at it. You get better at pitching, right? Your first couple pitches, or first 10, 20, probably not even that good. You're just figuring out how to pitch. Then you start to get your skill set, right? So there's a number that's just going to be there. And then, until you get the capital you need, this is your baby. You're going to have to keep going. So I don't think there's a hard and fast number, and I wouldn't worry so much about, oh, I've been out there, I've spoken to too many people. I think it's about, getting better at it, figuring out what's not resonating, covering off the gaps that are coming up, listening to the questions and saying, oh, everyone keeps asking me about this. So I'm probably not convincing on this, or I have an exposure or a gap here. Those types of things. I wouldn't really worry about a hard and fast number, but I don't know. David might have a different view.
Okay. So beyond pitching, how does one get a check? How does one keep an investor interested after a number of meetings? Because once you've pitched, the investor is interested, but how do you ensure that you get that investment?
Yeah. So I can take that. Yeah. So I mean, I think in terms of getting the check, I think it's the work that happens after the initial meeting, right? So it's responding to the information requests, having a good management team, being able to kind of show them end to end, what the funds are going to be used for. I think use of proceeds is definitely, something that you want to champion, that we're using these proceeds to do A, B, and C, and this is what the result is going to be. So I think being able to walk the investor end to end, what you're going to do with the proceeds, the management team, your strategy, how it all fits in the stage of funding that you're trying to secure. I mean, I think there's a lot of ongoing work that happens after the initial pitch, couple of meetings. And remember, these investors have to go take your idea to a committee, defend it. Your idea is competing with other ideas, and so I think it's just managing that process end to end.
Okay, great. We have some few questions from the audience, so we are just going to take a few just before we wrap up. Okay, so this one says, are there key considerations when pitching to an angel investor? Are there any unique features that angel investors look for in the pitch that other investors don't? I think Kevin covered that.
Yeah, well, you know, I, I wouldn't say, I mean, okay. Look, I would say in the main, no. I mean, on the margins, there are going to be some conversations you have with an angel investor that may be more about the value they add or the early role and so on, or what the future, the cap table might look like, and certain things that you may not have at a later stage. Um, but I think for where most people are, I wouldn't want to stress those distinctions because I think they're marginal, right? I don't think there are any key considerations. We're all worried about what the business is, how suited you are, how good you're going to execute it. Is there a real opportunity? Is the market large enough? What are other people doing? Is it defensible? Because it's one thing to go do something, but if you do something that everyone else can do, you quickly find that any value you can create is going to be shared or eroded. They're going to want to know how you're going to use the money. What are you going to do with it, et cetera. Now, at a very early stage with an angel, I may be having conversations about, okay, what are the key hires that you really need to make? And do you know these people? Can you get them? I do a lot of angel investing, so I focus a lot on the team at that stage, IP protection sometimes, because if you wait too late, and a number of things. Um, I may not have that much of a conversation on the VC stage. I'm probably looking at a team that's mostly there, and I mean, you may need to add one or two people, and so on. But I don't think there are any major considerations that are so different from the angel conversations to the the VC conversations. I may not be thinking of something. Um, I may probably have more conversations in my role as VC now at Lofty about exits. I probably don't focus on, well, a lot of angels focus on exits. I don't, because I think when you're in the first year of your business, I don't think you really have much clue. I mean, what you tell me about exits is so unrealistic anyway. Everyone says, "Oh, I'm going to IPO, I'm going to do this," and I'm like, "Okay, fine." But so I don't even spend time asking that. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'll stop here, and maybe there's something else, Charlene. But hopefully that was a bit helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just add something to that. So I mean, um, I think he's absolutely right that the VC angel investors, they look for similar things. I would say that angels and VCs are more focused on revenue growth, and far less on profitability. So if you're talking to a PE fund, a private equity fund, they're laser focused on EBITDA expansion, and what will my multiple be. But angel investors and VCs, it's more revenue growth. We'll figure out how we get profitable later on. So you don't have to be profitable when you're an early stage company. I think revenue growth is a stronger indicator of how successful you will be later on as the company matures. But just from my experience, private equity guys, they look for completely different things. But I think angel and VCs are very similar in terms of the criteria and how they value the business. The valuations are very different. So
100%, 100%. I see a question by Daisy. I want to address this one really quickly. At some point, an investor may pose a question that can be challenging, and you probably don't have the answer. How do you go about it? Listen, this is going to be a very simple, straightforward answer, but very important. You see, you don't have the answer, and you're going to find out or get back to them. You don't BS in any form or fashion. Don't try to start talking, and well, you're not going to get it past. I mean, think about it. If you're speaking to a real investor that spends their time investing, they're listening to many pitches, they know the space, they're seeing this all the time. You don't want to take the risk of, well, just don't do it. Just say, hey, you know what? I hadn't thought about that, or I don't have that right to hand. I need to go back and check my numbers. Just say that and then get back to them in a short space of time. But don't bullshit whatever you do. You will get caught.
absolutely.
I'll say.
I
Okay,
think
so
the
are there
important thing
any?
is get back to them. If you say you don't know and you're going to say you're going to follow up, make sure you actually do the follow up in a short amount of time.
Right. Are there any key takeaways from today's session?
Look, I'll say this. So I'll say that, like, there's a lot of focus out there, and it should be on pitching, because it's kind of it's the engagement that gets you or someone to focus on your business. So you want to be good at pitching. You want to practice and spend time. I can tell when someone has not really practiced or hasn't even done it before. And I give leeway when it's really early. But I think as you this is your craft that you've chosen to do. It's your profession. It's part of being a founder. So I want to say, if it's not your strength, go get some help, right? So that's a key takeaway. And the second takeaway I would add, if I can get a free one, is the other thing is not just how you pitch, but it's what you pitch. Make sure your business is good. You want to present the best business you can. So think about it. Think about all the elements. Where are the risks and stuff? Because that's what a pitch is designed to do. The questions are designed to show up things that will make your business not be what you want it to be. So you need to build a good business and then pitch it well, right? And yes, are there people that have crappy businesses that pitch it well and get funding? They are, but try to build a good business first. I will say this: Mark Andreessen said, you know, don't just make your pitch better, make your business better. Okay, and that's the thing I'm going to leave you with. So focus on making your business better, and then you have more leeway to not pitch, so not to spend as much focus on pitching. So and a business, as I said, is about making money, lots of it, hopefully good margins, really thinking about the best people, solving a real problem, and spend your time really working on that as well, and also your pitch. So that's my takeaway for everyone.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
David?
I'll just add to that. I mean, your pitch is your commercial. So, that's your open business card. You've got to protect it, present yourself in the best possible light at any given time. So you just have to look at your opportunity to pitch. That's your commercial. And sometimes you need to put yourself also in the shoes of the investor. If it was your money, right? You know, what would make you comfortable parting with your money? And that's what you have to try and solve when you're pitching. If it were your money, if you had $1 million and somebody was pitching to you and they weren't clear on certain things, you're probably going to be reluctant to. So I think you have to put yourself in that mindset that it's somebody else's money, and you have to do whatever it takes to make sure that they're comfortable with any potential issues they see in the business. But I do feel like pitching is a fundamental skill that you need to access capital, whether it's early stage or a more mature business. So that's what I would add.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for joining us for this session. I'm sure we really liked a lot. All right. Bye. So our next session is going to be on branding. We are going to be joined by another seasoned industry expert named Yolanda Hairston, and she's going to talk about branding and everything that involves branding. Hi, Yolanda. So Yolanda is a global executive and marketing consultant, as well as a business coach. And her passion is working with and for women and BIPOC entrepreneurs.
Oh, now
So
can you hear
Yolanda,
me?
yes,
I
I
was
can hear
mute.
you.
I was on mute.
Yeah,
My
I forget.
apologies. My apologies. Thank you for the nice introduction. I'm so happy to be here and to participate and to speak about branding. As a marketer, it's something that's near and dear to my heart, because I'm also myself doing a rebrand of my consulting business. And I just launched a podcast with my partner and did the whole branding process from top to bottom. So this is something that I can speak about with a lot of confidence. And after the presentation I'll give, I'll be happy to answer any and all questions that we have if there's time.
All right, over to you.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about building your brand. Okay, now branding for small business enterprises. These are the points that I will be focusing on today. What is branding? Why you should establish your own brand? How to actually do that? brand values and brand value. There is a difference. I'll give a few tips and resources, and then again, I'll have some time for some questions and to give some answers to you all as well. I will be going through these slides, and I will be speaking a lot about what is actually presented on the slides, because I understand that a lot of people may be in a position to listen to as they tune into this workshop right now, and may not be able to sit and watch everything as well to see all of the slides. So I'm going to try to go over them as much as I can to benefit those people who are only able to listen right now. Okay, so first of all, just a general overview. What is branding? Branding is the process of giving meaning to a specific organization, company, product, or service by creating and shaping a brand in consumers' minds. So it's beyond a logo, it's beyond your tagline, it's beyond your company name. It encompasses really who you are and what you do. A brand is the set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that, when taken together, account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. Now, here are 20 of the most iconic brands worldwide. So think about Apple, McDonald's, Disney. I'm sure many of you are familiar with, okay, McDonald's, I'm loving it. Some people, I'm going to age myself, may remember there was a campaign in the States about Calvin getting his first job working at McDonald's. Who doesn't remember all of Coca-Cola's iconic Christmas ads with Santa Claus? Santa Claus is famous because of Coca-Cola. Just having a great name and having a great commercial, those aren't the only aspects for becoming an iconic brand. And it's hard to set out to say, I'm going to create an iconic brand when you start, although that's a great, although albeit a lofty goal. But when you are going to start your branding, think about other companies and what they mean to you, why you have some type of an affinity. Are you more about Coca-Cola over Pepsi? Do you prefer Toyota over Nissan? Are you built Ford tough, or do you prefer BMW? And what do those brands, what do they evoke to you? What emotions do they have for you? Oftentimes a lot of memories. Sometimes it's only because that's the only brand that's available to you. In some places in the States, I know it's either Coca-Cola or Pepsi. You don't get both, okay? So think about those things when you are considering your own brand or rebrand. Now, why should you establish your own brand as an entrepreneur or a small business enterprise? To improve recognition, to garner new customers, create trust, inspire and connect, build value, increase sales, provide clarity, and support your advertising efforts. How do you actually do this? How do you establish your brand? Start off by knowing what you want and who you are, build credibility around it, and deliver it online in a compelling way. So I suggest that you start by writing. Sit down and, I believe that there is a connection between pen and paper, and really craft an idea of who you as an entity, whether you are, let's say you're a consultant, let's say you have your own side hustle that you're working on now and you want to develop that into an LLC, or if you have a business with employees, or again, if you are rebranding. Think about where you want to be in the next year, how you see yourself, how you want people to talk about you and your business. And it's important to craft 3 very important statements. The first being your mission statement. The mission statement is a short statement on why an organization exists, what its overall goal is, identifying the goal of its operations, what kind of product or service it provides, its primary customers or market, and its geographical region of operation. Now, the mission statement differs from the vision statement, which you should also start writing. A vision statement is an inspirational statement of an idealistic emotional future of a company or group. Vision describes the basic human emotion that a founder intends to be experienced by the people the organization interacts with. It grounds the group so it can actualize some existential impact on the world. And then you need to sit down and write your story, which is a cohesive narrative that encompasses the facts and feelings that are created by your brand. So let's dive a little deeper. I'll give some examples. The mission statement from Apple. Their mission statement is to bring the best personal computing products and support to students, educators, designers, scientists, engineers, business persons, and consumers in over 140 countries around the world. LinkedIn's vision statement is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And a short example of a brand story, Tom's, the shoe company. And their story is, the story of the shoe company's website states that the CEO, Blake Mycoskie, witnessed the hardships faced by children growing up without shoes while he was traveling in Argentina in 2006. So wanting to help, he created Tom's Shoes, a company that would match every pair of shoes purchased with a new pair of shoes for a child in need. It's important to also note that there is a big difference between a mission statement and a vision statement, and it's one that often gets confused when people are setting out to craft either one of those. So here's some questions to guide you. When you're going to write your mission statement, ask yourself, what is your aim or goal for your business? Is your mission realistic and relatable? Is your mission statement a true representation of your business? And does your mission express things that are quantifiable? Now, for the vision statement, ask yourself, what is the future of your industry? How will you make a difference in the lives of your customers or clients? What will your customers or clients need from you after their initial purchase? How will you retain them? And what will they need from you in the far future? And what are your wildest dreams and aspirations for your business? Now, you should also notice from these questions for mission statement and vision statement that, and this will help you keep track of it in your head. Your mission statement, it's really, you are set out, you're a soldier, you have a mission. This is what you are set out to do now. You need to quantify it, okay? And your vision statement, it's more like a dream that you have, something that's attainable, though. It's what you wish for your company, and it evokes more emotion. Then when you get to writing your story, take your time to do this. Ask yourself a lot of pointed questions like, what is your why? Why are you starting this business? Why are you maintaining this business, rebranding it? Why do you get up and go to work every day? What captivates you about this business that you want to do it and bring your product or service to the world? Who are you or your business, and how do you want to present yourself? What sets you apart from your competitors? Are you relatable, and can people connect with your story? Is your story honest and forthright? Does your story evoke emotion? Do you emphasize your milestones and business highlights? And would a customer or client be able to retell your brand story succinctly and with accuracy? Now, of course, I'm not saying that any of your customers or clients need to be able to tell verbatim your story to someone else. But if they come to you and you provide a service or sell them a product and they're overjoyed about it, and they're really into you, your business, what you do, what you provide, quality, etc. Do you feel confident that one of your biggest supporters, one of your biggest proponents of a repeat customer, could they actually be able to tell one of their friends with word of mouth advertising something about you, something of your brand story, like with Tom's Shoes? Now, I hope you all remember that I mentioned just maybe 2-3 minutes ago that the CEO went to Argentina in 2006 and he saw despair there, he saw poverty, he saw children without shoes, and he decided to create a shoe company, and for every pair of shoes that was sold, he would donate another pair. And that's a story that sticks with you. It's a feel-good story. It's one that people can relate to on many different levels, whether in their personal lives, whether it's happened to them and they've been shoeless or not, but it's something that people can relate to on some level, even if it's from, wow, that's amazing, I want to buy more shoes from this company because I'm the type of person who wants to help someone else out. I like doing acts of charity and love and kindness, and it makes me feel good that all I did was buy a pair of shoes and that I'm helping someone else out. So let's look at brand strategy, your long-term plan for success. First of all, for your strategy, you have to do some research. And the most important research you must do is KYC, which is usually within fintech, within finance, but it's know your customer. Create personas for your different customers or clients and understand their demographics and psychographics. Now, this is a very important point because so many people get mired into the demographics of a geolocation, an age bracket, gender, marital status. And all of those things are and can be important for your business, important for you to understand. But psychographics are just as important. What fuels those people in those different demographics to buy or not to buy? What kind of feelings are going to relate to them? How do they think and what are their buying practices? Do they have, in a certain demographic, you might find out that a lot of your customers are college educated. And so you can correlate that with their salary, their income, and disposable income that they could spend on your product or service. But it's also important to know if they have children and if they are dealing with certain things like maybe a pandemic that we're going through right now, to understand further how their buying process goes. Are they more likely to buy when things are on sale? Are they more likely to buy before a sale comes because maybe they are more marketing savvy and they understand before Black Friday sales, actually that's when you can get some of the better prices before they usually get raised in department stores just for Black Friday. So understanding how your customers think is just as important as which columns you can place them in, which boxes you can check for them as well. And using a CRM like Salesforce or Hubspot to keep track of not only, the sales information that you get on your customers and clients, but also keeping track of their birthdays to send them an email with a coupon, happy birthday, their purchasing habits, and any other valuable notes you get, especially from feedback directly from them, is invaluable. And it fosters that symbiotic relationship. And many people are happy to spend their money with a company, with a business, with other people who feel like, hey, you remembered my birthday. Now, people know that you're not putting in your personal calendar their birthdays, their anniversaries, the first time you purchased from them. People get it these days. People are a lot more tech savvy these days. But still, it's endearing when I get an email from a company and they remember my birthday. I get a 10% off coupon just because it's my birthday. Hey, thanks for keeping me in your database. I appreciate that. And your customers and clients will do that as well. Understand customer stages. How your brand communicates with customers at each phase of the buyer's journey should be different. You need to consider these stages: awareness, consideration, decision-making. Then you've closed the deal, they've purchased from you, and now you need to delight them. And then you need to evaluate your competitors' pricing, pipeline, presence, and their USP, their unique selling point or unique selling proposition. So a lot of research that you need to do when you're figuring out your brand strategy. Now, you can move forward and develop your brand identity. You should have a tagline. Famous one listed here from Nike, just do it. Make sure your tagline is catchy and memorable, short and clear, and 7 words or less. Look at the colors that you're going to use for your website, for your logo, for all of your branding, how you want to be identified by color, and consider the psychological effects that colors have. A lot of people associate red with anger, but a lot of restaurants use red tablecloths because it's been proven scientifically that the color red makes you want to eat more. Choose combinations that are easy on the eyes, and remember, a lot of different people have different vision issues, and some people may be colorblind. Some people may wear glasses. Some people may be working in environments where they have different lighting. Maybe it's not even optimal. Maybe a lot of people are really, really busy during the day and they're only able to come to your website when they're trying to put the children to sleep, the lights are low. And if you have certain colors on your website that may be difficult to see or too garish or too bright, those are things to consider. Then look at the font that you want to use. Choose a font that expresses your personality and your business. If you are an attorney, I don't suggest using Comic Sans font. It doesn't set the right tone. If you are another type of professional and you want to use serif, sans serifs, pick one that actually looks like your business and the message that you want to convey. And if you run a party business, if you do something that's fun and whimsical, you have a product, maybe Comic Sans is a perfect font for you. Consider what's best for you and your business. And of course, consider the readability of that font on the internet and also when it's in print. And then finally, of course, the thing most people think about when we talk about branding is the logo. Now, your logo is a symbol for your business that conveys a message about who and what you are. If your budget allows, hire a professional graphic designer to create your logo. And I just want to add, be sure that you get all of your different logo types. You need to have logos in certain sizes for all the different social media platforms that you will choose to be on. I'll talk about that a bit more in detail in a moment. You need to choose alt logos. You need horizontal, vertical, many different types. So even if you are great at art, even if you are wonderful at digital art, I suggest finding a professional graphic designer who can give you some help. Now, how do you create a brand voice? You need to consider brand personality to begin. Now, there are 5 main types with common traits: excitement, sincerity, ruggedness, competence, sophistication. And your brand personality creates an emotional association in the mind of your target audience or persona. You need to consider the tone of your communications. Your tone is how you sound to others. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. Be consistent and make sure your tone matches your personality, profession, and values. And your writing style. Is your business technical or is it social? Is there specific jargon that lay people know or that they would need to learn? Consider if your writing should be friendly and informal or if it should be structured and professional. And remember that what is spoken can be clarified, but what is written is indelible. If people like you, they will listen to you. But if they trust you, they'll do business with you. So let's talk about positioning and USP. Brand positioning is the place that a brand occupies in the minds of consumers relative to those of your competitors. So what do consumers and clients think about when they hear the name of your business? How do you stack up against your competition emotionally? And as a new business or one undergoing a revamp or rebranding, consider who and what you want to be and devise a roadmap for getting there. Reassess the elements of your brand identity and make relevant changes that can propel you to the position you want your business to be. Now, USP is your unique selling proposition or unique selling point. And it's the marketing strategy of informing customers about how your brand or product is superior to that of your competitors. What do you do different? What is your distinct advantage? What makes you unique? And how do you convey that information? Then you also need to consider touch points. Brand touch points are the interactions and exposures that a consumer can have with a brand, quite simply. They shape customer and client perceptions. And different personas at different stages of the buyer's journey will interact quite differently with your touch points. So I want to just take a moment to talk about personas because I mentioned it earlier, and in case not everyone understands, when you look at a persona, you look at your different customers. And let's say you have a hair salon, and one of your personas could be a middle-aged woman. Another persona could be a teenage male, and another persona could be a child. And even though they're coming there to get services, to get their hair washed, shampooed, conditioned, and cut, colored, etc., they have different needs. So you want to consider your marketing based on the different needs of those different types of customers and clients. Those are personas. And so they're going to interact with your brand quite differently, especially considering where they're in the buyer's journey. Someone who's thinking about coming to get a haircut, okay, they're thinking and they're open to almost any place. That's quite different from someone who is in the decision-making phase. They've heard about your salon. They've maybe seen some of your advertisements. Maybe they actually ran into a friend who said that they went and got a haircut in your salon and that they really liked it. So they're ready to make a decision. They're also going to have other touch points as well. Like, I'm just going to go through the list quite quickly. It can be exhaustive. I didn't list them all here, but I want you to think about these different touch points. Business cards, emails, direct mail, telemarketing calls, presentations, networking and elevator pitches, websites, blogs, vlogs and videos, social media platforms, podcasts, products themselves and the product packaging, trade shows, vehicle wrapping, promotional merchandise, signs and billboards, TV and radio ads, periodicals ads, coupons even, services, publications, experiences, search engine results, website pop-ups, search engine banner ads, and word-of-mouth advertising, as well as many more that you can think of. And I want to talk about social media platforms for a moment. We are here on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube. And you can get bogged down when thinking about, wow, okay, I'm branding for my business, or I'm doing a rebrand. I need to create logos for all of the different social media platforms, going to TikTok and Reddit and on. The list can continue. But you don't need to be on every social media platform. And that's an important part to consider about your branding that I want to touch on at this moment. If you have a business that really does not speak to people who are on LinkedIn, who are professional-minded in the sense that they may be looking for a position or wanting to network or to grow their business with like-minded peers, usually, maybe LinkedIn isn't the place for you. Going back to the hair salon example. The hair salon example, the social media platforms that may be best for you are certainly Instagram, Facebook as well, and even YouTube if you create wonderful videos about the before and after and the whole process. So it's important to consider your branding. It also speaks volumes to people about which platforms you choose to be on and those that you don't choose to be on. And that's not to say that you can't join another platform later and see how that works for you, kind of do some A/B testing with it. You may have great success on Facebook and very little on TikTok. It depends on your industry, how much time you have to put into it, because it takes a lot of work to create a lot of content, especially if you're doing it on your own. So in the beginning, when you're looking at branding for your small business, just be cognizant of the fact that you don't have to be on every social media platform. They're great touch points, but no one's expecting you to do everything, and you shouldn't try to do everything. Focus on what you do best and what you can do really, really well with branding. Let's talk about brand values for a moment. Your brand's values are the guiding principles that shape every aspect of your business. What does your business stand for? Some of the best practices regarding brand values are to respect your customer and client, establish professional boundaries so that you are respected, honor your promises, act with integrity, build relationships. Don't stop building relationships. Express gratitude. Educate and delight your customers, clients, vendors, and investors. And here's some things you shouldn't do. Don't be performative in your social statements. A lot of people may be aware of, may remember, in summer of 2020 in the US, there were lots of protests with the Black Lives Matter movement. And many, many companies decided they were going to follow suit with a social media campaign of posting a black square to show that they support Black Lives Matter. But a lot of those same companies got called out for their performative action Their brand was showing and this great statement that they were making of supporting BLM. But then when people entered their store who were Black, African American, or of color, then they found their situation wasn't as friendly and they didn't feel as supported as that Black square was supposed to significantly illustrate to other people. So don't be performative in your social statements. If you're going to do that, that needs to be one of your core values. You need to stand behind it, and people need to see that in your strategy, your structure, your culture, your processes as a business as well. Don't underdeliver and overpromise. Don't disrespect your customers or clients. Don't disrespect yourself, and don't let others disrespect you as well. The old adage of the customer is always right. We're learning now that it's okay to say, no, the customer is not always right, but there is a way to be professional still while respecting someone who is a potential customer or client, or at this point, maybe former, depending on what happened, and to still respect yourself, and especially your staff, your team, your employees. And don't miss the mark with humor. A lot of times people try to interject humor, especially on social media. And unless you're a professional comedian, I suggest staying away from it because sometimes it can fall flat. There could be a double entendre you might not be aware of. There could be other cultural, historical elements going into the joke that you may not understand, may not be aware of. And it could just not be funny. And that's going to hurt you more than it will help. If people believe that they share values with the company, they will stay loyal to the brand. Now let's talk about brand value, which is different from brand values. Brand value is the financial amount your brand is worth. Now, while brand value is based on an amount on a balance sheet, brand equity is the value of the brand based on how important a customer views that brand. Brand value can affect a company's revenue and the overall market. A brand's value is merely the sum total of how much extra people would pay or how often they choose the expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that they get from one brand over the alternatives. So simply put, a brand value could be someone choosing Coca-Cola over Pepsi because that's what they always drank with their grandparents when they would visit when they were kids. And so whether they go into a store and the Coca-Cola is priced higher than Pepsi that day, they're still going to get the Coca-Cola because it evokes emotion for them. There's a history there. The more visibility your brand has, the higher the value. And brand value creates more revenue and affects the market in this way. When consumers find value in a brand, they become loyal to that brand. And that discourages other companies from emerging and entering the market. This protects market share for existing companies, but keep in mind that it also makes it hard for new businesses to emerge. So when you're doing that research and looking at the USP of your competition as well, you need to be cognizant of that. If people are really, really loyal to a brand that's going to be your competition, that's going to make it much harder for you to break into that market and steal some of that rev share from them. Okay. Now, what makes a brand valuable? The brand is a brand that's highly recognized, it's positively perceived, it's popular, and has a loyal following to the point where the customers function almost as brand ambassadors on their own without even having to be asked. How you can build your own brand value. You need to understand your target audience, those personas, and appeal to their needs. Improve and optimize the customer experience. Be unique and stand out. Engage in remarkable marketing. Remarkable marketing is where you do something big and over the top that it is remarkable. If you're going to sell elephants, as the adage goes about remarkable elephants, don't just sell a great elephant, you're going to sell the purple one. Be consistent across the board with your marketing, across the board with building your brand. Be consistent, stay true to what you have decided is going to be not only your logos and your colors and your fonts, but your voice and tone, your style, your personality, how you express what your company's values are, what your business prioritizes, across the board, be consistent in that messaging. And always, of course, maintain high standards. And quickly, I want to talk about branding during a pandemic, how COVID-19 is impacting branding right now. So health and wellness are much more important than ever before, of course. Brands need to be aware to consider how their messaging can appeal to what are McKinsey's 6 dimensions of wellness, which are general health, fitness, nutrition, appearance, sleep, and mindfulness. Now, even if your business doesn't deal with health and wellness at all, there's still a way that you need to make sure that your brand relates to these, because we look at the commercials on television now, what people are talking about, there's a new variant. That's all in the news. And everything kind of comes back to this, because this is the wild ride of a reality that we're all collectively living in right now. Also, the pandemic is impacting branding in the sense that gatherings are mostly virtual. Here we are in a virtual workshop together. More people are working from home and are attending virtual work and networking events. And as more people are vaccinated and excited to get out of the house, we're going to move towards more of a hybrid model in the future. And this reduces the opportunities people have to engage with your brand on a personal level, those touch points of actually holding a business card, the touch point of hearing your elevator pitch for some people, the touch point of being able to get a coupon and go shop in a store for some people that may be eradicated, or at least for the time being. And that's going to have an effect on your business. So you need to be creative, think out of the box, look at some other methods for getting you, your brand, your messaging to other people. And also, COVID-19 is affecting branding right now, that target audiences have changed. The simple fact is that the experience of the pandemic, the lockdowns, loss of life that people have had, loss of their financial security, loss of jobs, loss of relationships, and all of that uncertainty has absolutely changed people. Also, disposable incomes have dropped. People are more mindful and are more focused on others and experiences than things and money. People want to settle down more and have comfortable surroundings. Diversity and inclusion is more important. The pandemic changed the brand preferences of 45% of US consumers, according to PR Newswire. So as people have been working more from home and spending more time with their families, they're realizing, if I'm going to spend money on things, I'm going to spend more money on my home, buy a more comfortable bed, maybe buy more healthy food, or maybe say, you know what, I want to eat all the junk food I want because you only have one life to live and everything is topsy-turvy, uncertain. And so now I've been seeing all the commercials for Pizza Hut, Domino's, etc. That's what I want. So be cognizant if you're a restaurateur, if you have a food truck, if you're a budding home chef and you want to start selling, keep these things in mind as for how they're going to impact your business and your brand. And finally, customer experiences are certainly more digital. The rise of e-commerce facilitates the rise of online customer support and the need for optimized UX/UI, which is the online user experience and user interface. So when someone comes to your website, especially on mobile, if they click a button, the button has to work. Things should be intuitive. If someone is going to make a purchase online, then you need to make sure that their experience from making a decision to going through the cart to getting the confirmation is all seamless, smooth, easy. And that if anyone has a question, that they are able to reach your customer support quite easily. So whether that's a chatbot, whether that's an actual dedicated phone line that you have that's open most hours for your target audience, those are things you really need to consider looking at those digital options. And of course, more marketing channels are going to open. There are going to be new platforms and funding. All of those things are on the horizon to address those changes and needs caused by the pandemic. And Warren Buffett said, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, we'll do things differently. So I want to give you some tips and some resources, just a few, about branding for your business. First tip is to write in a journal. I said before that there's a connection between the pen and the brain. I wholeheartedly believe in that, and I have about 100 journals to prove it. When I say write in a journal, I mean whether you keep a bullet journal of your business activities for the day, or whether you actually write out your thoughts and perceptions and feelings about how work went for you, how the whole branding process is working for you. Write things out. Keep a list of your highs and your lows so that you can learn from them. Feedback that you get from your customers is invaluable. You should keep digital track of this information. It's great to have the quotes, for example, to be able to put as testimonials on your website. But when you have really hard days with your business, when you have bad days, when you just need to pick me up, it's going to be invaluable to you to be able to flip back through your notebook, to flip through your journal, and to see all of the good things that people said, all of the milestones that you hit, all of your successes. So write in a journal, and also in the future, when your business grows, and I hope that it does, you want to be able to look back and to see your whole journey of your brand also. Because if you ever consider rebranding, you want to know what worked, what didn't, what was a hit, was a maybe a miss, and to optimize. Get buy-in from your partners, your team, and your employees. So the writing that you did at the beginning of your branding exercises, of thinking about your mission statement, your vision statement, writing out your story, present them to the people who you're working with and building your business with. And if you are doing it, if you're a solopreneur, speak with trusted family and friends and get them on board with your vision, with your mission. And that's going to make a world of difference, especially if you are working with a team, because then when they see your enthusiasm about the mission, and when it's very clear to them and they understand it as well, it's so much easier to get the best work out of them as well when you are showing them what you are putting into it in terms of your vision, your thoughts, that you have really quantified and qualified all of the points about who you are, what your business is, what you want it to be. Revisit and revise when necessary. So as I said, if you ever need to rebrand, don't be afraid to do that. But also I want to put emphasis on the words when necessary. Don't do it just because there's a new font that's out, or there's a new look and feel and you want to capitalize upon that. And maybe some people didn't really like your logo that you loved, and so you just want to change it. If people have already started to identify with it, you could actually do your business a disservice by making a change too quickly or when it's unnecessary. So revisit and revise when necessary. Stay abreast of news and trends as they can impact your brand. Create a brand book. It's very important. It's also called a style guide that, especially if you're working with graphic designers, if you get some press on your business and they want a copy of your logo, if you are ever doing any merchandising, if you want to have your logo on a t-shirt, for example, it's great to have a brand book where all of these things, your font, your colors, etc., are all listed out there. Now, to give you a few resources, you can use Canva. It's a program. You can use a free version. They also, of course, have a pro version for graphic design. It's very user-friendly, quite intuitive. It has a lot of bells and whistles, and you can also do things that are very straightforward to do some graphic design needs for yourself, and that helps you save some money. You can use Hubspot. They have a CRM that you can have for free to keep track of your customers and clients, and they also have some free marketing tools as well. Again, you can pay a lot of money for higher tier services from offerings from Hubspot, but their free offerings, especially for small business, are really good, so you should check those out as well. And my last tip is to get help when you need it. Hire through Fiverr or Upwork. If you are very budget strapped, budget conscious, those can be great resources, and there are plenty of people who are also trying to build their business. If someone is a budding graphic designer, if someone does music clips for your podcast, if someone is happy to help you with your social media marketing and they're trying to grow their business, help each other out. You can pay them a nominal fee, that's set forth, that's presented there on the platforms to you. You get the work for a bit cheaper, you get some really great work done, and maybe you can make a new client in the process of it as well, and do some networking through someone that you hire and grow your business. So now I want to open it up for any questions, and I'm happy to answer those for you now. Oh, wow, many questions coming in. Okay. JM asked, which is better for small business owner, merging your personal and business brand or separating the two? I always believe in separating the two. Keep personal, personal, business, business. Even down to, I keep bullet journals. I have my personal life in one notebook and my private life in another. And especially when we're talking about a brand, unless you are, let's say, a musician, an actor, an actress, where you are really out in the public eye, and I would still say to some degree, as much as you can, make a separation with the two. You don't want to get yourself in a position where anything from your personal life or what's perceived in your personal life, emphasis on what's perceived, is going to impact your business brand. You've probably heard many stories about people who get doxxed, where someone of any type of celebrity, any known figure, people go and they do a deep dive into their Twitter accounts, their Facebook, they talk to their high school ex-boyfriend or girlfriend and get the dirt on someone, or some statement they made in the press has been convoluted, misconstrued, twisted, turned around. Or maybe it was accurate, but it was valid at the time in certain circumstances, and now it's no longer applicable, it no longer applies, and frankly, maybe it even sounds horribly dated and just a horrible statement to make these days. So for those reasons, I would say if you're a business owner, keep your personal brand, maybe your personal brand, like I have a podcast, and the thoughts and opinions of that podcast are completely separate from my business. They're both businesses, but one is more personal than the other. So that's my best advice in all things business. Keep personal, personal. Okay. And there was another question from Shalene. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Is a brand supposed to be eternal? Oh, great question. Can businesses restructure their branding in case of a drop in sales or a ruined rapport? Wonderful question. No, I don't believe that brands are supposed to be eternal. Think about how many times Coca-Cola has even changed the shape of the bottle. That's a part of branding. Of course, it has, the function that they're trying to capitalize upon of how you actually hold the bottle and the feeling it has in the hand and getting into tactile sensations, etc. That's a big part of branding. And we do have to change and evolve. Now, there's something to be said for, let's take the nostalgic candy market, for example. And you can buy boxes of candies that have been around for decades now. I got some from my parents, like when my dad turned 70, I got him a candy box of all his favorite candies from when he was a little boy. Okay, and those candies have not changed. The wrapper, what's written on the wrapper, the recipe, nothing for decades. There's some value to that, but it's also candy. So make that consideration. And I wouldn't be surprised if those candy companies still have switched from some gum additive, something, a chemical name that I can't recall right now, if they're switching from some type of sugar to an artificial sweetener. Things do change. And those little changes, as to even changing ingredients, can sometimes impact your brand. Now, if a business is restructuring, let's say, like in your example, there's a big drop in sales, or something bad happened, ruined rapport, their image is sullied in the eyes of public opinion, then yes, absolutely, it's important to also rebrand, restructure, kind of start all over, optimizing what really, really works, and taking that and twisting it around and coming out with a brand new business as it could be. So absolutely, I don't believe brands are eternal. there are many people, many entities that are lucky enough to be kind of eternal, like a lot of the top brands. Still, Toyota is always going to have the symbol where it looks like a man wearing a sombrero. McDonald's is always going to have the golden arches. But in many cases, the color of the arches has changed. It depends on the country, the culture, if they're doing something around the holidays, many different factors like that. So yes, be open to brand changes, because what happens in the world affects you as a person, and it will affect your business as well. So be open to that. But as I mentioned before, be cognizant and quite speculative about when is the right time to rebrand. When is the time to make any changes in your branding? Sometimes you need to do something right away. You and your team love a certain logo, but once you kind of bring it to market, everybody hates it. Nobody understands it. They don't get it. The letters look like nobody gets it. Maybe in that case, before you spend more money and before you have this in front of more eyes, go ahead and make that change sooner than later. But if you have something that it's kind of become a staple, a lot of people recognize it, you may be of the mind of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So you need to weigh what's going to actually be best for you and your business. And that's also something that I think nobody else can tell you when to do. It's something that you need to intuit for knowing your own business. Are there any more questions? Great. Okay, JM said, thank you for the very educative talk and for the very interesting facts that red makes you want to eat more. Yes. And I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I think the color yellow makes you angry. And a lot of kitchens, at least in the 40s and 50s, were painted yellow with the idea that it's a happy, sunny color, but more arguments actually happened in the kitchen. So, and if you want people to eat more, put your food on a red plate. But if it's a small red plate, they might eat less. So there's a lot of psychology in color as well. Are there any more questions? Great. Okay. If there are any more questions, I'm happy to answer any of them. I hope my email address will be available so you all can reach out to me. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Enjoyed the time. I appreciate everyone's questions and happy to be a part of this workshop.
Thank you very much, Yolanda. We are very grateful.
Thank you. You're so welcome. Anytime.
All right. So thank you to all our panelists and our facilitators. And thank you to all of you for joining us. Do have a lovely evening. Bye.